She thought surviving 5 years of marriage was her greatest accomplishment. She was wrong. Surviving the night her husband's family tried to destroy her, that would become legendary. Because when the most dangerous man in Seoul walked through those doors, hell itself couldn't save them. Before we dive into this story, if you love drama that hits different, smash that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me, have you ever been humiliated in public? Let's get into this. Aisha's hands trembled as she smoothed down her emerald dress, the silk suddenly feeling like sandpaper against her skin. The Kim family estate loomed before her, all marble columns and crystal chandeliers, a monument to old money and older prejudices. 5 years. 5 years of marriage to Min Jun, and she still felt like an intruder at these gatherings. You came. Her mother-in-law's voice cut through the evening air like a blade wrapped in velvet. Madam Kim stood at the entrance, her hanbok pristine, her smile sharp enough to draw blood. How brave. Aisha forced a smile. It's my husband's birthday celebration. Where else would I be? Indeed. Where is Min Jun? Business call. He'll be here soon. Madam Kim's eyes flickered with something dark. Of course. Always business. Come inside, dear. We have much to celebrate tonight. The grand hall buzzed with Seoul's elite, politicians, business tycoons, families whose wealth predated modern career. Aisha felt their stares like pinpricks across her skin. The African woman. The barren wife. The mistake. She'd heard all the whispers. 5 years without a child. 5 years of invasive questions, pitying looks, and barely concealed contempt. What they didn't know, what Min Jun refused to tell them, was that he was the one who didn't want children. Not with her. Not while he kept his mistress tucked away in Gangnam. Aisha. Her sister-in-law Jiwoo approached, wine glass in hand, sympathy painted on her face like cheap makeup. You look tired. Is everything alright? I am fine. Are you sure? Because mother has been telling everyone about your situation. She's quite worried. Aisha's stomach dropped. My situation. Jiwoo leaned in, her voice dropping to a theatrical whisper. The childlessness, dear. At your age, it's becoming quite a concern. Mother thinks perhaps you should see another specialist. Or maybe. She paused, letting the words hang. Maybe it's just not meant to be. The dinner gong echoed through the hall, and Aisha found herself seated at the family table, directly across from Madam Kim. Min Jun's empty chair beside her felt like an accusation. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Kim stood, her voice commanding immediate silence. Thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate my son's 35th birthday. It pains me that Min Jun couldn't be here for the main festivities, but duty calls. However, his absence gives me an opportunity to address something important. Aisha's blood ran cold. 5 years ago, my son married this woman. Madam Kim gestured toward Aisha with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. We welcomed her with open arms, despite the cultural differences. We believed love would conquer all. Mamas rippled through the crowd. Aisha's fingers gripped the edge of the table. But love, as we know, requires fruit to truly flourish. A family needs continuation. Legacy. Children. Madam Kim's voice hardened. 5 years, and my son remains without an heir. 5 years of empty promises and failed expectations. 5 years of watching our family line wither because of one woman's inadequacy. Gasps filled the room. Aisha stood, her chair scraping loudly against marble. You have no right. I have every right. Madam Kim's facade cracked. This is my family. My legacy. And you're killing it with your barren womb. Tears burned Aisha's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of these vultures. Madam Kim, a voice called from the back. Perhaps we should. No. Everyone needs to hear this. This woman has poisoned my son's life. She's turned him against his own family, against his duty. And for what? So she can parade around in expensive dresses, playing house while producing nothing. Aisha's voice came out steady despite the tremor in her soul. You want to know why we have no children? Ask your son. Ask him about his priorities. Ask him about. Enough. Madam Kim slammed her hand on the table. I've arranged for divorce papers. Minjun will sign them next week. You receive a settlement, generous, considering your contribution, and you leave Korea. Quietly. The room spun. Minjun knows about this. Madam Kim's smile was victorious. Who do you think suggested it? Aisha's legs moved on autopilot, carrying her toward the exit as laughter and whispers erupted behind her. 5 years. 5 years of trying, of compromising, of losing pieces of herself to fit into this family. And Minjun had thrown her away like garbage. She burst through the main doors into the cool night air, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The garden stretched before her, illuminated by soft lights, beautiful and suffocating. Leaving so soon. Aisha spun. A man emerged from the shadows near the fountain, tall, broad-shouldered, his black suit tailored to perfection. But it was his face that made her freeze. Sharp features. Cold eyes. And covering his neck, disappearing beneath his collar, an intricate dragon tattoo that seemed to move in the moonlight. She'd seen that face before. In newspapers. In whispered conversations. Daehyun. The ghost of Seoul. The man who controlled half the city's underground, whose name alone made politicians nervous and criminals disappear. I asked if you were leaving. His voice was deep, accented, dangerous. Yes. I need to go. He moved closer, each step deliberate. Running from a battle you've already won. Did you hear what happened in there? Every word. Daehyun stopped in front of her, close enough that she could see the scar running through his left eyebrow. Madam Kim's voice carries when she's performing. Performing. That wasn't anger. It was theater. Fear, dressed up as righteousness. He tilted his head, studying her like she was a puzzle. Do you know why I'm here tonight, Aisha? Her name on his lips sent a shiver down her spine. How do you know my name? I know everything worth knowing. But you didn't answer my question. I don't care why you're here. I just want to leave. His hand caught her wrist, gentle but unmovable. Your husband owes me 14 million won. Did you know that? Aisha's word tilted again. What? Gambling debts. Bad investments. Desperate attempts to look richer than he is. Minjun is a weak man pretending to be strong. And weak men make mistakes. Why are you telling me this? Aisha tried to pull away, but Daehyun's grip held firm. Because his mother just threw you to the wolves to protect him. Blamed you for his failures. Used you as a sacrifice. His eyes darkened. And I don't tolerate injustice in my city. Your city. A dangerous smile crossed his face. Seoul belongs to those strong enough to hold it. Right now, I'm holding quite a lot. Including your husband's life, if I choose to collect. Aisha's breath caught. You can't. I can do whatever I want. The question is, what do you want? I want to go home. To what? An empty apartment. A husband who sold you out. A family that never wanted you. Daehyun released her wrist but didn't step back. Or do you want them to understand what it feels like to be powerless? Something dark and hungry stirred in Aisha's chest. Revenge won't change anything. You're right. It won't. He reached into his jacket, pulling out an envelope. But justice might. Inside is documentation of every debt your husband owes, every mistress he's kept, every lie he's told. Enough to destroy him in divorce court. Enough to make Madam Kim regret ever speaking your name. Why would you help me? Daehyun's expression softened almost imperceptibly. Because 3 years ago, someone humiliated my sister at a gathering like this. Called her worthless because she loved the wrong man. I was in Japan, handling business. By the time I returned, she'd taken her own life. His jaw tightened. I won't watch another woman be destroyed by people who mistake cruelty for power. Tears finally spilled down Aisha's cheeks. I don't know you. No. But you will. He pressed the envelope into her hands. Go back inside. Hold your head high. And when Madam Kim finishes her performance, you give her one of your own. I can't. You can. Because I'll be right behind you. And trust me, Aisha, when I walk into that room, everyone remembers who really runs this city. Aisha's hands shook as she gripped the envelope. Through the glass doors, she could see the party continuing, Madam Kim holding court, her audience laughing at someone else's pain. At her pain. What if they don't believe me, she whispered. Daehyun stepped beside her, his presence solid and overwhelming. They will. Because I make them. Something in his voice, absolute certainty wrapped in steel, made her believe him. Made her want to believe. Why are you really doing this? He was quiet for a moment, his eyes fixed on the party inside. My sister's name was Unji. She was brilliant, kind, stronger than anyone gave her credit for. But she loved a man from a poor family, and his mother destroyed her the same way Madam Kim tried to destroy you tonight. With words. With shame. With public humiliation. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be angry. Be fierce. Be everything they try to make you believe you're not. He turned to her, and for the first time, she saw past the dangerous reputation to something raw underneath. You survived 5 years of their poison. You're stronger than all of them combined. Now show them. Aisha wiped her tears, straightened her dress, and felt something shift inside her. Not just anger. Not just hurt. Power. The kind that comes from having nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. Okay, she said. Let's go. Daehyun's smile was sharp and approving. That's my girl. They walked back into the hall together, and every eye immediately found them. The dangerous man from the shadows. The humiliated wife returned. The air itself seemed to thicken with tension. Madam Kim's face went white. Mr. Kong. What are you, we didn't expect. No, you didn't. Daehyun's voice cut through the silence like a gunshot. You were too busy destroying a woman's reputation to notice who was watching. Interesting strategy, Madam Kim. Suicidal, but interesting. The party guests backed away instinctively, creating a circle around them. Madam Kim recovered quickly, her mask sliding back into place. I don't know what you think you heard, but this is a family matter. Is it? Daehyun moved toward the main table, his hands casually in his pockets, looking for all the world like he owned the space. Which, Aisha realized, he probably did. Because it sounded like public defamation to me. Slander. The intentional destruction of someone's character based on lies. Lies. Madam Kim's voice rose. My son has no children because of her. Your son has no children because he's been too busy with his mistress in Gangnam. Park Seo-yoon. 24 years old. Aspiring actress. Your son pays her rent. Daehyun's words landed like bombs. Should I continue? Or would you prefer I discuss his gambling problem? The 14 million won he owes to various parties. The investment schemes that failed because he spent the money on luxury cars and watches instead. Gasps and whispers exploded through the crowd. Madam Kim swayed on her feet. That's not, you can't prove. Aisha stepped forward, holding up the envelope. Actually, he can. And so can I. Bank statements. Hotel receipts. Text messages. Everything your son did while I played the dutiful wife. Everything you blamed me for while protecting him. Aisha, please, Jiwoo started, but Daehyun's look silenced her. 5 years, Aisha continued, her voice growing stronger. 5 years I endured your subtle cruelty. Your passive-aggressive comments. Your family's judgment. I stayed quiet because I loved my husband. Because I believed in my marriage. But you know what I learned tonight? She looked directly at Madam Kim. I learned that silence is what cruel people count on. They count on you being too polite, too afraid, too ashamed to fight back. Well, I'm done being silent. Madam Kim's composure finally cracked. You have no idea what you're dealing with. The Kim family has power in this city. Had power. Daehyun's correction was gentle but absolute. Past tense. See, funny thing about power, it's only real when people believe in it. And right now, everyone in this room is wondering if their secrets are safe. If their deaths might be called. If I might decide that your family's behavior reflects poorly on Seoul's business community. The room held its breath. Madam Kim looked around desperately, seeking support, but found only averted eyes and nervous faces. What do you want? She finally asked, her voice small. Daehyun glanced at Aisha. Not my question to answer. All eyes turned to her. Aisha felt the weight of the moment, 5 years of pain crystallizing into a single choice. She could demand an apology. Money. Revenge. Or she could simply walk away free. I want a divorce, she said clearly. Fair terms. No settlement from me to your family. And I want you to understand something, Madam Kim. I'm not barren. I'm not inadequate. I'm not whatever narrative you needed me to be to excuse your son's failures. I'm just a woman who deserves better than this family ever offered. She dropped the envelope on the table. Keep this. Study it. Learn what your son really is. Because I'm done carrying the weight of his mistakes. Turning to Daehyun, she found him watching her with something that looked like respect. Can we go now? Absolutely. He offered his arm, and after a moment's hesitation, she took it. They walked toward the exit together, and Aisha felt lighter with each step. Behind them, chaos erupted, Madam Kim's voice rising in desperate explanation, guests whispering frantically, the perfect facade crumbling. That was magnificent, Daehyun said once they reached his car, a black Mercedes that probably cost more than her old apartment. That was terrifying. Same thing, often. He opened the passenger door. Where would you like to go? Aisha realized she had no answer. Home wasn't home anymore. She had no family in Korea, no real friends outside Minjun's circle. She was free, but free to what? I don't know, she admitted. Daehyun's expression softened. I have a place. Quiet. Safe. You can stay there tonight, figure things out tomorrow. No expectations. No obligations. Just space to breathe. Why are you being so kind to me? He was quiet for a long moment. Because Unji deserved someone to fight for her, and she didn't have anyone. You do. Tonight, that person is me. The penthouse overlooked the Han River, all floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist luxury. Daehyun showed her to a guest room, brought her tea, and gave her privacy. No pressure. No assumptions. Just genuine care from a man whose reputation suggested he didn't know the meaning of the word. Aisha stood by the window, watching Seoul's lights sparkle like fallen stars, and let herself feel everything she'd suppressed. The grief. The anger. The relief. The fear of what came next. A knock at the door. May I come in? Daehyun's voice. Yes. He entered carrying a tray with food, simple, comforting, perfect. You didn't eat at the party. Understandable, given the circumstances, but you should eat something. Thank you. She accepted the tray, their fingers brushing briefly. Electric. Daehyun, why did you really help me tonight? He sat in the chair across from her, and for a moment, the dangerous man disappeared, replaced by someone just as broken, just as scarred. Because watching you stand there, taking their abuse, reminded me of Unji. But more than that, it reminded me of myself. Before I became this. He gestured at himself. When I was just a kid from Busan who people thought wasn't good enough. Wasn't Korean enough, because my mother was Japanese. Wasn't worthy of respect. What changed? I stopped asking for permission to exist. I took what was mine. Built an empire from nothing because the traditional paths were closed to me. His eyes met hers. You have that same fire, Aisha. I saw it the moment you walked back into that party. You just need to stop letting other people convince you to dim it. Aisha's heart hammered in her chest. I don't know how to do that. You do. You just proved it. He stood, moving toward the door. Get some rest. Tomorrow, we'll discuss your divorce strategy, your finances, your next steps. Tonight, you're safe. That's enough. Daehyun. He paused at the door. Thank you. For seeing me when everyone else just didn't. His smile was soft, genuine, devastating. I'll always see you, Aisha. That's a promise. 3 weeks later, Aisha sat in a lawyer's office signing divorce papers that gave her everything she'd never asked for, a fair settlement, no blame, a clean break. Minjun looked smaller somehow, diminished, sitting across from her with his mother conspicuously absent. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For all of it. I know. And strangely, she did. But sorry doesn't change 5 years. Minjun, sorry doesn't give me back the person I was before your family tried to break me. If I could go back. You can't. Nobody can. She signed the final page. But you can do better with whoever comes next. Actually love them. Actually fight for them. He nodded, looking devastated, and part of her felt pity. But only part. The rest felt free. Outside, Daehyun leaned against his car, looking effortlessly dangerous in a black suit and sunglasses. Over the past 3 weeks, he'd been there, not pushing, not demanding, just present. Helping her find an apartment. Introducing her to job opportunities. Teaching her how to navigate Seoul on her own terms. And slowly, carefully, teaching her heart how to trust again. How do you feel? He asked as she approached. Lighter. Sad. Hopeful. Scared. She laughed. Everything at once. That's healthy. He opened the car door. Are you ready? For what? His smile was mysterious. I'm taking you somewhere. A celebration of sorts. They drove through Seoul, past the wealthy neighborhoods where Aisha used to feel like an intruder, down into areas she'd never visited. When they finally stopped, it was in front of a modest community center in a working-class district. Where are we? Aisha asked. My sister's dream. Daehyun led her inside, where women of all ages gathered, some working on computers, others in a workshop, a few in a classroom setting. Unji wanted to create a space where women could learn skills, start businesses, support each other. Especially women who didn't fit into traditional molds. Aisha's eyes widened as she understood. You built this. For her. And for women like you. Like my mother. Like everyone who's been told they are not enough. He turned to her. I want you to run it. What? I can't. You can. You're smart, resilient, you understand what these women face. You've survived what breaks most people. And more importantly, his hand found hers. I trust you. With my sister's legacy. With this dream. With. He stopped himself, but Aisha heard what he didn't say. With your heart, she finished softly. Daehyun's walls crumbled. I know it's too soon. I know you need time to heal. But Aisha, from the moment I saw you in that garden, refusing to break even when they tried to destroy you, I knew. You're extraordinary. And if you let me, I'd like to be there while you discover just how extraordinary you are. Tears streamed down Aisha's face, but this time they were different. Not pain. Not loss. Hope. Possibility. The beginning of something real. I'm scared, she admitted. Of getting hurt again. Of trusting wrong. Of. I know. He cupped her face gently. I'm scared too. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. And I promise, Aisha, I will spend every day proving that not all men are like Minjun. Not all families are like the Kims. Some of us just want to love the extraordinary woman in front of us and watch her conquer the world. She kissed him then, soft and tentative and full of promise. Around them, the women in the center applauded and cheered, and Aisha laughed against Dahyun's lips. So is that a yes? He asked, grinning. To run in the center. To letting me take you to dinner. To. Yes. To all of it. To being scared together. To building something real. To us, he finished, and kissed her again. Outside, Seoul continued its chaotic dance. But inside that center, in the arms of a dangerous man with a gentle heart, Aisha finally understood what home felt like. Not a place. Not a family. But a person who saw her, truly saw her, and chose her anyway. And in the end, that was everything. So what did you think? Have you ever witnessed someone get instant karma like this? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that hit different. What kind of romance should I cover next? Drop your ideas below and let's keep this conversation going.